Hi, welcome to Module 4, and we're going to create a schedule. As always, focus is on study skills. It's okay if you don't understand the academic information. It is how we learn, not what we learn. That's the focus. So in terms of creating our schedule, we're going to practice grouping tasks and setting priorities, deciding where to start, planning breaks, yay breaks, and then finishing up with creating a schedule for completion. So again, we looked a little bit about time management when we were talking about estimating times to complete tasks, but there's more to time management than just knowing how long something will take. So some of the skills that, again, we're going to look at is creating a schedule, but that includes having things like schedule breaks, and allowing for fun times, getting rewards for yourself. It's not just about work. And in fact, you're more likely to stick to a schedule and complete what you need to if you know that once you finish something, you've got a good break, or you're going to get to eat a cookie or something like that. So first of all, if you remember when we looked at both our action plan and then we came up with our time tracker, we broke down our project into small steps and then we put the times. However, that does not mean that every single step we have to do individually, like do step 1 and then, I don't know, you do whatever and then you come back and do step 2. We can group those different tasks together to come up with bigger blocks of time. So how you group tasks depends on how you want to do it. It could be you're grouping by type. Maybe you have to do a lot of research. Well, like the project that we're doing, you have to do a lot of research, then you have to do finding some pictures, and then you have to do some writing. So maybe you group all of your research together, and then you group all of your finding pictures together. That would be one option. It could be grouped by time. Maybe on one particular day you're going to have several hours to get work done, so you're going to group all the tasks that take a lot of time together, and then save, the shorter tasks for another day. Or it could be that that you only have, say, 1 hour per day. So you're going to try and fit in whatever tasks that make up that whole hour. Okay, it could be if you're doing a group project, obviously the tasks that involve other people, you're probably going to want to group those together into one big meeting. Could be difficulty. Maybe you're like, you know what? All the worst tasks, the parts of the project that I really don't want to do, let's just put them all together so I can get it out of the way. Or maybe you need to have it more balanced, like let me do one difficult and then one easy, one difficult and then one easy. It could also be for materials, especially if you're doing a project that's not all online. So if you're doing something with, say, artistic material, you wouldn't want to or you would want to probably print out all your pictures together and then glue them all at the same time. So you would group those tasks together. So after we have an idea of grouping our tasks, we have to come up with our priorities. What's the most important to do? Okay? And when you do that, the question you really need to ask yourself, what has to be done first? And it's also good to know what has to be done last. All right, so we're going to practice or take an idea about grouping tasks and setting priorities, looking at our time tracker. So going through this, remember we can group based on type, we can group based on difficulty or materials. There's several different ways to do grouping. If you remember from our directions, it's even kind of grouped for us. Like there was one section that was all about that basic information. We had to research it, we had to find a picture, we had to type it up. Then there was another section about the geologic history. Then another section about the life forms. Okay, so you could group things that way and say, you know what, this day is all going to be about that basic information, the next day, so on and so forth. Or maybe you know that you're going to be in a researching mood. So you're like, I'm just going to sit down, knock it out. Every section that requires me to do research on the computer, I'm just going to do it in one day. So research basic information, research geologic history, research life forms, just get it done all at once. Then I'll group getting pictures together, and then I'll group writing things up. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. It's just how your brain thinks and how you like it. In terms of setting priorities, it's pretty easy for us to determine this, and that what we absolutely has to do first is decide the time period and tell the teacher, because otherwise, if we don't pick a time period, we really don't even know what to research. And then what we absolutely have to do last is turn it in, to the teacher. Because yeah, that's what you do at the end. So our next big decision that we have to make is deciding where to start. Because of our priority planning, we already know what has to be done first, and we know what has to be done last. So, we've already got that out of the way. What's the very first one that we need to do? There are different ways to select which task you do first. It could be that you want to get the hardest task out of the way, the task that you're most dreading or you know will be the most difficult for you, just to get it done. Or it could be, I'm going to choose something easy, I'll get it done quickly, and then I can feel a sense of accomplishment because I can cross it off the list. It could be that you absolutely have to do some of the tasks sequentially. Like if your overall task is making a hamburger, you can't have the step of putting ketchup on the hamburger before you actually cook the hamburger. And it could be just random. Like I'm just going to pick whatever task that I want to do, or they're all equal, so whatever, this one is the one to go. And then after you do that first big task, you just kind of keep going with your groups. You do another task until eventually you get to the task that has to be done last. But in general, for most people, it is this first big task after you do what absolutely has to be done first that is the most difficult for people. That's where they tend to procrastinate, or they get anxious and they don't know where to start. So they put off doing their project. So again, if I'm deciding where I want to start, I know that I absolutely have to do this first. But in terms of where I want to start, for me, since I like doing research and I think I need that strong beginning, plus I know it'll take me the most time, I would probably put all my research together. I've grouped all my research together, and I'm going to put that as my first task. And then after I get that done, my other tasks kind of fall into place. Next, we have planning breaks. Okay, it's okay to have breaks. In fact, a good study plan or a good project plan is gonna have breaks in it. However, when planning our breaks, there are a couple key things to keep in mind. One, they should be realistic. Okay, if your break or your reward is after I do a few minutes of work, I get to go to Six Flags, I mean, unless you genuinely do get to go to Six Flags, it's probably not a very realistic break or reward. Okay, they need to try and be balanced when you're planning these out. Probably not going to be the best if you have 5 minutes of work and then 55 minutes of break. 5 minutes of work, 55 minutes of break. They kind of need to be balanced. All right. Also, they should probably be pretty timely in the sense that they can be completed in the time that you are allotting for them. And then we have not too distracting, and this kind of goes with timely. Like if you say for yourself that after I do 25 minutes of work, I'm going to watch 15 minutes of a movie. Okay, that may be timely in the sense that it's sort of balanced, but are you really going to be able to return to work and not be super distracted? Okay, and timely could also go to if you do an hour's worth of work, should you have a reward of a movie, which, you know, you'd see that's kind of balanced, but also if you have to reward yourself an hour and a half after an hour of work, it's probably going to take you a really long time to get a project completed. Also, like, let's try variety here, guys. Like, you can give yourself multiple different types of rewards and different types of breaks within one project. Maybe you do something, you've got one group for 15 minutes, and then you're going to take a 5-minute break to look at social media. Then you go back and you do work for another 30 minutes. And then after that, you're going to do 15 minutes of exercise. Okay, you go back, and then after that, you're going to color. You're going to call a friend. You're going to go outside, anything like that. And also, very importantly, not all of your breaks or rewards should be screen-based, especially if you're doing work on a computer. Give your eyes a break, okay? Change it up. Go outside. Listen to music. Vary your breaks. So, using all that information, we can go and actually start to create a schedule for completion. So here we've got our project schedule, and we can go back and forth. You're not going to have to type out all the different tasks, but I've already identified, remember that our initial task has to be pick a time period and tell teacher. Okay, and we know that that's going to take us like 5 minutes, 5 even. Do we really need a reward afterwards? I think I'm okay. Okay, then I've already said that my next task is going to be research basic info, geologic info, and lifelong info. Okay, so in terms of total time, I go back to this and I can start adding up the times. It's going to be 30 minutes, you say 20, another 30. So that's an hour and 20 minutes. However, if my brain was on a loop or whatever, there is an online calculator that we can go to. So we're saying that is 1 hour 20 minutes. Okay, so after I do 1 hour 20 minutes, heck yeah, either I can give myself just a basic reward. A reward is something quick, like a cookie, or I don't know, a high five. But you know what, honestly, I think my next task is going to be a break. I mean, I think that's what I need, and it's probably going to probably have to be about 20 minutes. And I would read a book. Okay, so then you would keep on going through till you finished every task. And of course, the last one you should have on your list would be the task that we identified has to be done absolutely last. And keep in mind, when we come up with this project schedule, we're not saying that this all has to be completed in one day. And if you wanted to be really realistic, you could even go through and, you know, mark that this is all one day. And then you've got another section. But this does give you a checklist that you can kind of go through and check off. I've completed this. I've done this. It took this time, so on and so forth. So you have a good working schedule for completing this project. And of course, your final activity will be to complete your own project schedule. All right.